Hi guys! So let's get into some gesture drawing. So I'm going to demo for you what gesture is going to look like. I'm going to explain some of the materials that I have. So right now I'm using the newsprint paper. So you can tell this is very thin, like newspaper paper. Very thin, cheap paper. I got my vine charcoal here, and it's almost weightless. Very thin, very brittle, very fragile. It's going to lay down a mark very easily, and I'll show you. Very easily, barely putting any pressure, and marks are being made. What's great about this, like I mentioned before, is using a paper towel, even your hand, you notice, it's going to come almost off, not completely off. You're going to see a ghost image left behind. And that's great because when we fill up our page with different gestures, different size gestures, we're going to see the ghost image of the sketches we did prior, and it's going to help us build off of the figures that we're drawing. This is great when we practice longer sessions. This is something I encourage you to do on your own practice too. Do like 20 at a time. Fill up your page, and you'll see all those ghost images behind it. And it's also a great way to build up on one image. And we can do exercises like that at a later time. Today, we're just going to get to the basic of gesture drawing, so you know the technique, you know how to apply it at home and in your own practice. I mentioned before that we also could use compressed charcoal. Now, I have two different types of compressed charcoal, and I just want you to know that there are some differences in compressed charcoal that you might find in the store when you buy yourself, just so you know what you're going to be getting into. So if you buy something like a soft charcoal, charcoal sticks, some compressed charcoals will act like this too. They're very light. So this one is a rectangular brick. It's fairly light, heavier than the vine charcoal. But the color layout is going to be much darker. It's still going to transfer very well, but what it doesn't do is it doesn't wipe away. It just blends out. The pigment in this stick is going to blend out. And this is going to be great for future lessons when we get into modeling and toning, and basically that's just shading. Modeling and toning means to shade. So when we get into more like detailed drawing exercises, we're going to be using more charcoal. This is a more denser charcoal stick, and you'll notice it's heavier. I need to apply more pressure to get dark marks. It acts a little bit more like a crayon, honestly. It might have some wax in it, which makes it more resilient. And you're going to notice that this does not really wipe off or blend as much as the softer brick does. And so that's just some of the differences between types of charcoal. But for today's purpose, when doing gestures, we're going to want to use the very thin vine charcoal. I have my newsprint, I got my vine charcoal, I got my piece of paper towel used to wipe away, because we're going to be wiping away or erasing, not really erasing, but we're going to be wiping away our sketches as we build upon them. So I'm going to go through at least two gestures just to kind of show you and practice what it's going to look like and what I expect you to do on your own. So you guys are going to be using photos. I have this little action figure. I think he's Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. I positioned him in this unique form, this shape. And I'm going to be gesturing him like this, and then I'm going to move him in a different position, erase my drawing, and do it again. And we're going to go through it. So I'm going to place him right there. And before we get started, I want to go over with you how I look at my subject before I draw. So what I look for, and it's going to bring back some of the lingo that I talked about before, I'm going to look for the energy, the movement. Where are the lines in this subject? What are the shapes and the forms in this subject's pose? So I have, as I'm looking at him, I see a triangle here. His arm is making a triangle. His leg is making a triangle. And his body parts are also composed of shapes. So his arms are ovals. His legs are ovals. His joints are more circular. Okay? His head is oval. His foot is very triangular. His hair has even shape to it. And now I'm also going to look at the structure of his body. And gestures is great practice for learning human anatomy, learning movement, and how the body is connected and how the body moves. And that's something you're going to learn by extension of doing gestures and practicing it in the classroom setting. But remember, we got 60 seconds to capture that pose. So what's the quickest way and the most important things of this pose that we need to translate to this paper? Well, the first things I'm going to look for is his overall shape. So I see kind of an X going through. So I got line, straight up, line, straight over. And that's kind of like an X shape. And I also like to look for the line that the head makes to the line of his outermost limb. Okay, so I see a T shape in the torso. And I also see a line, diagonal line, drawing here to the knee, the shoulder to the knee. So these are some of the shapes I'm going to be putting down on this paper. Okay, so to prove to you that I'm going to be timing myself, I have 60 seconds on my phone. Okay, and you're going to hear it go off. It's going to sound very obnoxious. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to press start. 60 seconds is on the clock. And I'm going to go for it. All right, so I'm going to go like this. We got that. Let's see, got the shoulders, got that. Let's get this foot. And let's get that triangular arm. Got the other triangle. There's that other one. There's the foot. And then let's get that fist on that calf. Got that head. Oh, let's not forget that swooping hair. And I'm not too worried about the details either. You know, I'm not looking to make him pretty. I'm looking to capture his shape. I'm looking to capture his form. Okay? That is the main part here. Okay? That is the main objective, is to trust yourself. The time constraint's going to put some pressure on you, but you know what? That's okay. And I'm just going to accentuate those lines. And my time is up. Okay? So it's not beautiful. You know, it looks messy. His hair is definitely more pointy than I made it, but the gesture is there. The movement is there. The shapes are there. And the overall implication of where he is captured. And that's kind of the point that I want you guys to take, okay? The takeaway, I want you to look for these shapes. I want you to jot down these shapes. These are the most important parts of the figure. All right? So we just spent 60 seconds of work, right? You know what? It don't matter. It don't matter. Let's wipe them away. Wipe them away. All right? Now he's still there, but we're going to draw over him. All right? I'm going to move him into a different shape. Let's see here. What else can we put him in? Let's put him in, yeah. That's kind of cool, right? Now my table is inclined, so he may not be able to stay like that. I may need to put him on his knee, prop him against the wall. Oh, let's see here. How can we get this? Let's see. I'm trying to get the perfect pose to try to get him to stay put. There we go. There's something different. Okay. Right over top your other image, your ghost image, we're just going to draw him like that. So now we're looking at his new shape. All right. So what lines do you see? I see this perfectly straight line here, almost a right angle straight up to his head. That's a great starting point, okay? There's another triangle here, another triangle there, and another straight line here, okay? These are great things to look for. And something else that I'm going to add into this that I haven't really talked about in the slides is negative space. And we're going to get into negative space in the later lessons, but just so you kind of understand the relationship of form, we have negative space here. It means space around forms, okay? So this is a negative space here. The shape that this makes is helping to make this shape. So if I can see, okay, I have this big triangle space here. I want to make sure that triangle space is between my two forms of this leg and that arm. Okay, so kind of keep those things in mind too. The space around your subject is also form and can also help form your subject. Okay, so let's put those 60 seconds back on the clock. Pressure on. All right, so let's get into that. So there's that line, I see that, there's his head. So let's get that finger going out there. Let's get that. Made his arm a little beefy there, huh? All right, let's get that torso going. That leg. Get that leg. Oh, let's get that foot in there too. Let's not forget about the foot. And this leg into that triangle. Into that foot. Now let's put that arm in there. Let's see. Right into that knee cavity. There we go. All right. And let's try to get that hair. That movement of the hair. And you know, I'm not trying to get his hair completely. You know, it is what it is. It's there. The shape is there. I want to make sure that his whole body is present. Okay? Oh, see how fragile that is? Snapped right in half. That's all right. I'm going to keep it moving. Even though he's kind of already sketched out. Oh, there we go. Time is up. All right. So, there you go. So sketching like this is going to help you loosen up. It's going to help you not get so caught up in those absolutes. Like, oh, I got to make sure all these lines and crevices are in there. No, we want the shape. We want the energy. We want to capture the movement of the form. That is the purpose. We're capturing the movement of what we see, the form of what we see. Okay, so now it's your turn. You guys are going to look at your photos and try to look for those lines and those shapes to create that form as quickly as possible. Okay, so take that paper towel and wipe off that last image. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt to wipe off that last 60 seconds of work, but we need to make room for this new guy, okay? Hi guys. All right, so you went through the gesture drawing. Now it's time to show you what contour can do. So contour drawing, we're going to be doing it on nicer paper. This is drawing paper. I mentioned before that drawing paper is a little bit thicker than newsprint, and there's reason for that. Because for this, we're not going to be using the vine charcoal. We're going to be using something more permanent, something that will not erase, because I want you guys to learn about making deliberate marks. You cannot rely on the eraser. You have to be able to trust yourself in connecting what you see to the paper and just going for it. Okay, over practice and over time, this is going to teach you how to train your mind, eye, and hand to work together as a tool, and to also be more, to embrace flaws. You know, it's okay to not get things perfect, and the only way things get perfect is with time. And even in time, nothing ever is 100% perfect. But the point that we want to get across tonight is we want to gain this shape on this paper without removing our material from the paper. Okay, so some of the materials we're going to be using today is Sharpie, and this is a fancier Faber-Castell fine tip marker. You can use a pen, a ballpoint pen. You can use a fine point Sharpie marker. You can use thin markers, chunky markers, whatever markers you want, even a Crayola marker. But you want it to be permanent. Okay, so I'm going to start with the Sharpie. And I'm going to show you the different line types. So this is a Sharpie, just straight up. This is the fine point one with the tip, so I can go on its side and make a broader stroke or use the tip for a finer mark. Or with this Faber-Castell fine point marker, you can make very detailed, thin marks. You could probably barely see it come up on the screen there. Let me do it over here where it's a little darker. See, very, very thin marks. I'm going to use this Sharpie though, just so it's bigger, you can see it. And my subject today is going to be a skull. You guys are going to be working with hands, and in a typical classroom setting, if we were in person, I would ask you guys to really be using hands, or we'll have something in the middle of the room that we would be looking at. But today I'm going to be using a skull. And so the point of this is to gather as much of information as I can. We're still going to have 60 seconds on the clock, and be deliberate in my mark making. I'm going to pick a point. I like to start at a point where has the most information. Okay, so I see that the most information is going to be in the face area, where the eyes, the nose, and the mouth is, and then the rest is more general shape. So I don't want to start out here. I want to start where there's the most information. So I pick the point with the most information. To me, I find that to be the easiest approach to starting this. So I'm going to look at my subject and plan where I'm going to put my mark. And I'm going to be deliberate in that mark, and I'm going to commit to it, and we're going to move. We're not going to pick up our pencil, or we're not going to pick up our marker. All right? So let's put the time on the clock. 1 minute. I'm going to start right where the nose is, and I'm going to make that mark. I'm going to go up. Let's go into the eye now. It's more oval shape. Let's go back over to the other eye. All right, let's come back down. I kind of want to get into the shape of where the mouth is here. Let's see. Let's get into that cheekbone. I see that going out and around. You know what? Let's get that shape of the head in there. Why not? All right, let's get the outside of that and that cheekbone in there. All right. Try to get back in there. And this is not going to be perfect either. It's going to be like a gesture in the sense that, you know, we're not going to get the perfect looking shape. And in time, we will get there. You know, as we practice this, we will get there. And you can get in there with the teeth. All right. Let's get in there. Still got some time on the clock, it seems. I'm going to get that scar in there and get those lines in there. Back up. All right, so we're done. 60 seconds went by. That is my continuous line skull. It's not great. He looks like he got punched in the face. And that's okay. I committed to it. I knew when I came around this side that I was not quite in the right spot, that my eye was telling me, my hand was telling me. We weren't quite in sync, my mind and eye and hand. And I came a little low. And I knew that I was trying to get this part on this line, didn't quite meet up. I tried to fix it by going back. And you know what? That's all part of the process. That's all part of it. Okay, so you're going to take this idea, this technique, you're going to apply it to the next image you're going to see on the screen. It's going to be a hand, be much simpler than a skull, but I suggest that you start in the place where it has the most information. If you want to try starting on the outer edge, or start wherever you'd like, but I'm going to suggest that you start where the most information is. Do not lift your marker off the paper, and have at it. Hey guys, okay, so we just did the contour sketches. I did that contour of the skull. Now I'm going to do a blind contour now. Let's get into the most challenging one, the one that everyone's intimidated to do, the one that this is going to be the catalyst to the entire lesson. So where have we come so far? So gesture, we started with gesture. We captured the form, the movement, the energy of the subject. It taught us to loosen up. Let's get creative. Let's put that mark down. Let's be deliberate. We moved into contours. Okay, so we did the skull. You watched me demo the skull, and I'm looking to capture the information. I have 60 seconds to jot down the most important parts of this form. How do I do that? And I'm going to, and I went right around. I traced from my eye, my mind to my hand as a tool. I'm teaching myself to follow these lines, follow these contours, starting in the most densely populated spot with the most information, working my way out. It's not always going to be perfect. It's not going to come out great. That's fine. I'm going to commit to it. Okay, so blind contour. What is different about blind contour? Blind contour is taking what we've learned from gesture and continuous line contour, and now we're going to challenge ourselves even further. We're going to move further into the realm of trusting our instinct, trusting our ability to draw down what we see. And the way we're going to do that, we're going to continue using our regular drawing paper. And you know what? I'm going to use the same page that my continuous line sketch is on. That's fine. We're going to build up on it. So when we look back at it, we see a progress. Okay? We see a progression. And in your sketchbooks for homework, which I'll get to the homework later on, I encourage you to do the same thing. You know, utilize your page, fill up the space, make it look like you've been doing a lot of different things. Okay? So I have this extra piece of paper. This could be scrap paper you have laying around the house, computer paper. This is just regular computer printer paper that I took out. And the way that I'm going to prove to you that I'm not looking at my page while I'm drawing is I'm going to stick my marker through this. So let's create a little hole. I'm going to create a little hole for my, my marker to go through. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to fold my paper in half, kind of, and tear it in the middle slightly. Okay. And now I'm going to push my marker through that tear. All right. Like that. All right. So now I got this little shield. I got this shield so that I can't see what I'm drawing. Right? I can't look down. Because even if I look down, I can see nothing, okay? So I'm gonna work in this area a little bit. I'm gonna move this over. Now we're gonna have some more time to do this. I'm gonna take 90 seconds, 2 minutes to do this. Take my marker cap off and get me started. All right, so I'm gonna look at my skull and I'm gonna apply the same methods, the same techniques, okay? I'm gonna look for the most densely populated area with information. I'm going to start where there's the most information. And I'm going to trust myself, commit to one point, and draw. And what this is going to do is going to really push the limits of my ability to connect my eye to my mind to my hand and use it as one tool synchronously. Okay? At the same time. Let's see how well I can do this. Okay, I'm going to tell you it's not going to look great, and yours aren't going to look great either, and that is fine. Totally fine. That's part of the process. That's why we have to keep doing them. All right. It's actually kind of fun. This is going to be a surprise. I'm not going to know what this is going to look like no more than you will. All right. Let me get the time on the clock here. All right, let's see. Let's add 1 more minute. All right, so we got 2 minutes on the clock. Let's start her up. All right, I cannot see. And I'm going to just commit to this little area of the paper here. All right. Marker is down. I'm drawing the nose. I'm following that contour outline of the nose, and I'm going much slower than I would in a regular contour because I'm really going to try to move my eye at the same rate that I'm moving my hand. Okay? And I may overlap into my other skull that I did from the last drawing, and that's okay. That's going to look pretty cool in the end. All right? Now, this is going to teach you patience, too. It's really going to teach you patience. And you're going to realize bigger shapes, smaller shapes, how much time you're going to need to give yourself to get that shape out. You may think you're going big and long, and it may be a lot smaller than you think, and that's okay. All right, I'm moving back over. I think I'm going to be going to that other eyeball now. I think I completed the circle of the previous eyeball, and I'm following through the other eye socket now. And I'm coming back around to the other starting point of that eyeball. And I think I'm going to be at the bridge of the nose again. Now, I could be wrong, but that's where I think I'm at. All right. And you know what? I'm going to move up into that scar. And I'm going to try to move into the overall shape of the head. All right. I'm going to move down back into the shape of the head. And then I'm going to follow that curve down the side of the head. Oh wow, see, 2 minutes is very short time, but let's see. Ready to reveal what I drew? Wow, what is that? It's a fun exercise, guys. It really does show. Okay, so see. Let's look at this together, okay? So see, I started here, and I pretty much got that nose shape out, and I went up into the eye. The beginning of this turned out just about right. I started off on the right note. I came over, and I thought that the eye was a lot farther than it was, and a lot smaller than I thought I was drawing it. And then I moved back, and I thought I was by the nose again, but look how much farther I was. And then I went up. But what's interesting is I did meet back to where the eye was, and I did somehow keep it connected. And I didn't nearly get completed with the drawing. And honestly, if you guys don't complete your drawing in the 2 minutes, that's fine, leave it. Don't feel pressured to have the drawing finished. I want you guys to commit to the practice more. I want you guys to really understand the technique more. It's important to really have your mind to hand, eye, mind to hand, moving synchronously at the same time. You're going to be a human copy machine, okay? And this is really going to help you hone in on your ability to draw realistically, draw without idolation, where I knew what the eye was supposed to look like, but I was trusting what I was seeing, and that's what this is going to teach you all in all, okay? So you guys have 2 minutes. You're going to work on, just like I worked on the same subject, you're going to be working on the same subject again. You're working on those hands. Jump off from where you were last. This time, I'm going to either trust you to not look, or you can do what I did and put your pen through a piece of paper and hide your drawing while you're drawing. Okay? Keep it a surprise for yourself. It'll be fun. All right, good luck, guys.